I'm Sal.
I'm Beth.
Here with another style file. What's a style file? It's where we go through one particular style of beer and try to teach you a little bit about that style. This one, really unique. We were really excited to find this in Colorado.
Correct.
It's Loveland, Colorado, a brewery called
Verboten.
What do we got? What is it?
So it's called Angry Banjo.
Angry Banjo. Okay.
And it's a Kentucky Common.
Very unusual.
So,
Don't see Kentucky Common in craft breweries. Some homebrewers are into it. It's a little tiny segment of the BJCP book. You said it was added pretty late, right?
2015. And it almost completely died out during Prohibition. It's only starting to come back because craft brewing, everybody wants to try things they haven't made before or drank before. So
Homebrewers generally drive innovation in the craft beer business.
Well, a lot of craft brewers, professional craft brewers, started as homebrewers.
Almost all of them.
It's the same DNA.
It's very rare to find one who did not. Before Prohibition, 75% of all the beer made in Louisville and in and around Louisville, Kentucky, was Kentucky Common. That's how popular it was in that part of the world. But it's one of the beers that Prohibition tried to kill, but fortunately was unsuccessful and is being resurrected.
And it's only one of 3 or 4 beers that can be considered indigenous to the United States. Everything else is generally a derivative of something that came somewhere else. So this is kind of unique. The water in Louisville, Kentucky area during this era, which the first written reference of a Kentucky Common was in 1902. So it started sometime after the Civil War, and as we said, it almost died out during Prohibition. But the water in that region at that time was very alkaline, so they added dark malts, caramel and dark malts, because they acidify the mash. So it brings the pH into something that's better suited to extracting the sugars from the grain. Is that the best way to put it?
That was an excellent way to put it. You did great. It's the malt, the aroma is all malt, and the flavor is really malt forward.
And that's right on style.
I'll tell you what the brewer said. Angry Banjo was inspired by the once popular indigenous style from Kentucky, made with American two-row malts and rye, as you pointed out.
Rye is not traditional. Corn grits would be traditional.
Because it's kind of a cousin to bourbon almost. Nothing to do with bourbon, but a lot of corn in that part of the world, so they used it to make stuff.
Yeah, they used the ingredients they had. That's what brewers do.
Yeah, that's what brewers do. Addition of chocolate and caramel malts give color and flavor to this clean, refreshing, dark cream ale. So that's a lot of people describe it as kind of a dark cream ale, darker colored cream ale. It's definitely maltier than the average cream ale. A lot more flavorful. It almost reminds me of a Marzen or Vienna beer.
Well, it would be considered closely related to an international amber or a dark cream ale. Right.
So that would be Dos Equis, Yingling Lager. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Much more flavorful than either of those.
And it's got a low ABV, generally 4 to 5.5. And the IBUs are low. It's not a very hoppy beer.
Yeah, not real hoppy. Just enough in there to balance the malt, but it's all about the malt.
Yep.
And
biscuity.
Think bread.
Think bread. Think digestive wafers.
Graham crackers.
That kind of thing. That kind of flavor.
It's really nice, and as the book describes, very sessionable because it's low alcohol. Also, they packaged this while it was actively fermenting back in the day. They got it from mash tun to tavern in about 8 days. And the way they did that was low gravity, so it doesn't take a lot to ferment it. And then they packaged it while it was actively fermenting, stopped the barrel, then it carbonates in the barrel naturally, kind of the English style. And then when they tapped it at the tavern, it was ready to rock. It's kind of almost like an eastern region version of California Common, but that's much hoppier and pale.
Different
I'm
flavor.
talking about treatment, the way it was packaged. It has that in common with California Common. It also reminds me of a nice Altbier, German Altbier. Mm-hmm. It's really good, and we really love Verboten. That's the topic of another video. You'll see that. But that's pretty much it, right?
Yep. Hope you learned something.
If you can find it, get it, because it's really interesting and really good, and it's hard to find.
Yep.
This was a little bit of a little gem treasure that we found on the road trip. Cheers.
All right, cheers.